The first day you walked into the John Corporations, the glass walls and high ceilings felt suffocating. You weren't new to corporate life, but this was the most prestigious company you had ever worked for. You were determined to make your mark, focused, professional, untouchable. The HR manager introduced you briefly, and whispers followed you down the hallway. You could already feel the judging eyes of colleagues, young, talented, and single in a company where men in suits preyed on fresh hires. So, when the topic of your personal life came up during the casual introduction with the CEO himself, John Jungkook, the CEO's office was sleek, intimidating, and too quiet. You sat stiffly in front of the desk, clutching your resume folder like a lifeline. Behind it, Jungkook leaned back in his chair, unreadable eyes scanning your profile. So, you are applying for the position of my secretary. You have worked in two firms before this. You nodded quickly. Yes, sir, I'm very organized and punctual. I don't shy away from long hours either. His gaze flickered up to you, sharp and appraising. Long hours can test a person's balance. Work life balance. Do you have someone waiting at home? The question hung heavy in the air, your heart skipped, and before you could think, the lie slipped out smoothly. You replied in a steady voice, though your hands gripped your folder. I'm married. For the briefest second, something flickered in his eyes surprise, disappointment, before his expression flattened again. Good, then you'll have no distraction here. Of course, my focus will be on work. He leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on the desk. A husband who is fine with you working late nights, traveling if needed. He trusts me completely. We understand each other. His jaw flexed, but he nodded again. Perfect. That's what I need. Commitment, loyalty. Someone who won't confuse business with anything else. The last word lingered in the air, heavier than the rest. You don't have to worry about that with me. His lips curved, not into a smile but something sharper. We'll see. The weeks passed, and Jungkook was everything they said about him cold, distant, brilliant. He rarely smiled, never joked, and his words could cut sharper than any blade. But slowly you noticed something else. He always sought you out in meetings, always checked your reports himself, and always lingered in hallways when you stayed late. He fell for you hard, but because of that one careless lie, he buried it all behind steel walls, and you pretended not to notice. Late nights and the office became normal, deadlines, presentations, and the heavy silence of two people locked in a dangerous orbit. You often found yourself the last one left, the entire floor quiet except for the soft hum of the city outside. One evening after a 12-hour day, you stretched in your chair, rolling your shoulders when a deep voice startled you. Still working? You glanced up. Jungkook stood at your office door, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a coffee cup. He looked less like your intimidating CEO and more like a man worn by the same endless hours as you. Yes, sir. You answered quickly, flustered. The proposal needed some revisions. His brows furrowed slightly. He stepped inside, setting the cup on your desk. Don't call me sir when it's just us. The way he said it made your chest tighten. You lowered your gaze. I didn't realize. Clearly. His lips curved faintly, but there was no humor in it. He leaned against your desk, close enough that his collar wrapped around you like a trap. Your husband doesn't mind you working this late every night. Your throat tightened. The lie that once felt harmless now burned like acid. You forced a polite smile. He understands. Jungkook's jaw flexed. His eyes searched your face as if trying to peel away the layers you kept wrapped around yourself. He must be a very patient man, he said quietly, though the edge in his tone betrayed him. You tried to look busy, typing nonsense on your keyboard just to avoid his gaze. He is. Silence stretched between you, heavy, suffocating. Jungkook straightened after a moment, tugging at his cufflinks. Get some rest, he said finally, his voice back to its usual coldness. Good night. But as he left, you felt the weight of his eyes lingering even after he disappeared. That night you couldn't sleep, and neither could he. 2 nights later, the same rhythm repeated. Late hours, stacks of files, empty corridors. The copy machine buzzed softly, spitting out papers under the dim fluorescent light. You rubbed your temples, exhaustion weighing down your bones, when a voice broke the silence. Do you make it a habit to haunt this place at ungodly hours? You jumped slightly, spinning around. He stood at the doorframe, tie loose, sleeves rolled up, his usual cold perfection softened by fatigue, but the glint in his eyes was anything but tired. I could ask you the same thing. He smirked, stepping closer. Difference is, this company belongs to me. I'm allowed to haunt it. Then what's your excuse for following me in here? You murmured, turning back to the copier. He stopped beside you, leaning one hand casually on the machine, effectively caging you in. Excuse? I was checking on my secretary, making sure she isn't overworking herself. His gaze lingers on you, or maybe making sure her husband doesn't worry. Your fingers froze on the stack of papers. He doesn't. Jungkook tilted his head, his voice dropped. Doesn't he? A wife working this late, alone with her boss. It could raise questions. Not everyone is as suspicious as you, Mr. John. He laughed softly. Suspicious? No, just observant. For example, his gaze flickers to your hand, lingering on the faint mark where a ring should be. Your husband lets you come to work without a wedding ring. Interesting. He shot to your cheeks. You hugged the papers closer, searching for an escape. My personal life isn't any of your concern, but it is. You are my secretary. If your personal life interferes with my office, it becomes my concern. He whispered, leaning closer, voice brushing your ear. It isn't interfering. You said a bit frustrated. He steadied your face, a ghost of a smirk on his face. No, then why are you trembling right now? The copier beeped, startling you both. A fresh set of papers slid out. You grabbed them quickly, desperate for a shield. You clutched the file, refusing to meet his eyes. Good night, Mr. John. You tried to leave, but his voice caught you at the door. Good night, Mrs. Your steps faltered. You didn't turn around, but you knew he was smiling in the shadows, savoring the way the world burned through your defenses. The ballroom shimmered with chandeliers, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. A sea of billionaires in glittering gowns and tailored suits filled the grand hall. You had been to countless events with your family before, but never had you felt your heart thundering quite like this. Sweetheart, your mother called, waving you over with a smile that could outshine the chandeliers. Beside her stood a tall figure in a black suit. When you turned, your entire world tilted. Your cold CEO boss, the man you had lied to, the man whose gaze had always burned holes into your defenses, He looked devastatingly handsome, his hair perfectly styled, his lips piercing, catching the light as his jaw clenched, and his eyes, oh those eyes, were locked onto you like a storm nearby. Your father's voice cut through the air, cheerful and unaware of the tension thickening between you. Ah, finally. You already know Jungkook, of course. You have been working as his secretary, haven't you? But tonight we want you to meet properly. The Johns are dear friends, and we thought it was the right time for introductions like this. Your mother clasped her hands together, grinning. Yes, it's wonderful, isn't it? You two see each other every day at work, but family is different. Spend some time together. Hmm? And just like that, they drifted away into the crowd, leaving you alone with him. The silence was brutal. Jungkook took one slow step closer, his eyes scanning your face, searching, accusing. Then he tilted his head slightly, his lips curling into the faintest, sharpest smirk. Secretary by day, daughter of the family by night. Quite the double life you have got there, isn't it? By the way, where's your husband? You stiffen, Jungkook. He leaned in a little, lowering his voice just enough that only you could hear. Should I call you Mrs. too? Or was that title just for the office? Your cheeks burn. I didn't mean for it to go this far. His laugh was short, humorless. Far? You looked me in the eye and told me you were married. Do you know how many times I stopped myself from. He cut himself off, jaw tightening. And now I find out here, like this. You tried to explain, guilt thick in your chest. I only said it to avoid attention. I didn't want rumors at work or people assuming. Assuming what? He interrupted, voice sharp but teasing at the edges. His eyes darkened as he leaned closer, his breath grazing your ear. That your boss wanted you? Your breath hitched. You hated how your pulse betrayed you. Jungkook, please. He pulled back just enough to meet your eyes, his smirk deepening. What? They are thinking of setting us up, but do they know you are already married to an imaginary man who can't even give you a wedding ring? You rolled your eyes. Fine, tease me. I deserve that. Parents think I'm just your boss. Do you want them to see how red your cheeks get every time I stand too close? You looked away, embarrassed, clutching your glass tighter. You are impossible. He chuckled lowly, though his gaze remained burning and unreadable. No, sweetheart, I'm just done pretending. Before you could respond, one of your relatives called your name across the ballroom. Jungkook straightened, mask sliding back into place effortlessly. Smile. He murmured under his breath, brushing past you so close your shoulders touched. We wouldn't want your family to know what kind of games you have been playing. And then he left you standing there, your parents beaming from afar, while guilt and something far more dangerous churned inside your chest. The evening wore on, laughter and music swelling around the ballroom. You tried to steady yourself with sips of champagne, but every time your gaze drifted across the room, it found him. Jungkook was impossible to miss. Standing among businessmen, his cold presence commanded the space effortlessly. His eyes, however, betrayed him. They kept finding you, lingering just long enough. Your parents eventually pulled you aside. Sweetheart, come. Your mother said, her hand warm on your arm. The Johns want to sit together for a while. There's something we would like to talk about. You froze. Something? Moments later, you were seated in an intimate lounge at the edge of the ballroom, your parents, Jungkook's parents, and Jungkook himself across from you. He leaned back, suit jacket open, expression unreadable, but his eyes were sharp as knives. Your father cleared his throat, smiling warmly. We thought tonight would be perfect to discuss something important. Both our families have known each other for years. But now that you two are grown and already familiar through work, why not take it further? Your heart thudded, your mother's voice chimed in, bright with excitement. We think it's time you both consider marriage. The word hung in the air like a bomb. You nearly choked on your own breath. Marriage? His father chuckled, mistaking your shock for shyness. Yes, marriage. We couldn't think of a better match. You already respect each other professionally and personally. It would be ideal. You turned to Jungkook instinctively, searching for some kind of reaction. He met your gaze, his eyes dark, calculating. Then, ever so slowly, the corner of his mouth curved upward into a faint, mocking smirk. He leaned forward, resting his forearms on his knees. His voice was smooth, dangerously calm. Marriage, huh? He glanced at you, letting the word sting. Funny how that word keeps following us around. You stiffened, heat rushing to your face. Your parents, oblivious to the layered meaning, smiled even wider. Jungkook's mother placed her hand over yours warmly. Of course, there's no rush. We would like you both to spend time together, get to know each other outside of work, but we truly believe this could be something beautiful. Jungkook's eyes never left yours. His smirk faded into something heavier, darker. He didn't say no, he didn't object. He simply let the silence drag until you wanted to scream. Finally, he spoke, his tone soft but laced with steel. If that's what both families want, who are we to refuse? Your breath caught. His words were agreeable, polite for the families, but his eyes told a different story. This wasn't a man agreeing to please others. This was a man issuing a promise that now there was no escape. His mother looked at you. Sweetheart, we want to know from you. You got a little nervous, but you agreed with what Jungkook said. Still didn't make it direct. Let's see. If everything goes well, then. Everyone smiled, Jungkook too, and you looked away, feeling the heat rush in your cheeks. Your parents beamed, the Johns nodded approvingly, and the air was filled with relief and joy. Only you and Jungkook sat in the middle of it, locked in a silent battle of guilt, anger, and something far too intense to name. The days after the party were unbearable. At work, Jungkook was colder than ice, throwing sarcastic remarks like daggers. So tell me, he said in his office one morning, leaning back in his chair, how's your imaginary husband handling our engagement? Are you guys filing for divorce? Jungkook, don't. He snapped, his eyes blazing. Do you have any idea what it was like falling for you and forcing myself to bury it? Do you know how pathetic I felt every time I reminded myself that you were married? Your chest ached. I never meant for this to happen, but it did. He slammed his hand on the desk, then lowered his voice. And now you are mine. The intensity in his eyes scared you and thrilled you all at once. Nights became a blur of stolen glances, near touches, and heated arguments that ended with him cornering you against walls, his voice low against your ear. Run if you want, but I'll still find you. The engagement became official, families celebrated, friends gossiped, and everywhere you went, you were now tied to him. But behind closed doors, the cold boss who once terrified you was different. He still teased you, still cornered you, but now there were softer moments, like when he found you asleep at your desk and draped his jacket over you, or when he pulled you out of a boring dinner to whisper under the stars. You have no idea how long I waited for this. One night, after endless tension, it finally broke. You stood on the balcony of his penthouse, city lights glittering below. You scare me sometimes, you admitted softly. He stepped closer, wrapping his arms around you from behind. Good, then you'll never forget that I'm the one who loves you most. You turned, meeting his gaze. You love me? He laughed bitterly since the day you walked into my office and told me you belonged to someone else. And when he kissed you, soft at first, then desperate, it felt like fire and home all at once. The cool CEO, the lie, the chaos, it all melted into something real, and this time there were no more walls.